Rogue Radio. Now available on Mixcloud at mixcloud.com/Rogue Country. Keep it rogue.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Into the Van. I'm Mike West, and I'm super excited to be back doing Into the Van again. I took like a month and a bit break, not on purpose, not planned. It was just schedules didn't line up. I was pretty lazy in chasing people, and it wasn't one of those things that I kind of bothered with, if I'm honest, in the last like month and a bit. Just, you know, the music's been doing really well. I've had some great shows. I got to open for Willie and the Bandits the other week, and that was super fun. The music's been picking up. Mothman's been doing really well, so I haven't had much time for Into the Van, and I've not wanted to, make time for it. If I'm honest, it's one of those things that I really enjoy talking to people, but if I can't book people and it's not the end of the world, I'll do something else. I'll, enjoy my free time, which I hope you're enjoying your free time. But I got sent some emails of artists that I just couldn't pass up. And one of those artists was David Quinn, who we're going to be speaking to today. I hope you're having a good week. I hope you're having a good month since we last spoke. I'm going to go see Drew Dixon tonight in Blackpool. You may know Drew from I had him on the podcast a while back. He's a phenomenal guy. I'm really looking forward to meeting him in the flesh and getting to see him play live in real time, in real life. It's going to be fun. And I hope you guys have been doing something interesting. I hope you've been going to some shows if you're feeling safe and up for it. It's been really fun to see live music coming back and seeing people kind of ease back into it. And it's been a nice thing to, witness and be a part of. I've got Sierra Ferrell coming to Birkenhead in June, which is crazy, alongside Possessed by Paul James. So we've got Sierra Ferrell on the 27th of June and Possessed by Paul James on the 29th of June. Possessed by Paul James also has Gravedancer, who's been on this podcast, and Chris Dover, who will be on this podcast the second I can pin him down to get him onto it. So keep an eye out for those shows. Buy tickets if you're local to Birkenhead, Liverpool, Wirral, Merseyside, and this kind of area. Sierra Ferrell's only got this Northwest show, so if you want to see the phenomenal Sierra Ferrell, you're only going to be able to see it here. If you've been listening to Mothman, I really appreciate it. It's out on all streaming services, and I'm going to drop a little preview for you now. Red eyes in the darkness do warn me of a fate, racing down a darkened road, praying it's not too late. I saw Mothman, I saw Mothman. And again, it's over on Bandcamp if you want to buy. We've got some amazing t-shirts designed, done by Eaten Alive, illustrations about Mothman. I saw Mothman. Get your t-shirt here at Bandcamp, mike333west.com. Mothman is available on all streaming services, but let's get down to the main event, people. David Quinn is not necessarily the creator of Black Dare Country, but one of those people that is making a real racket with that sound. It's honky tonkin', it's got that country swagger to it, it's got that homage to the traditional that I really like. And I got sent an email by Sweetheart PR from Rachel, and I'd had previously worked with her to talk to Charles Wesley Godwin, who's got an album that's phenomenal, and the Danberries, who are also phenomenal. And she sent me this record saying, this is David Quinn, he's bringing out a new album soon, Country Fresh, would you like to chat to him? And the second I listened to this Country Fresh record, I knew I had to. It's such a joyous and fun record, but not in a parody way, not in a silly way. It's serious. It's got serious songs. The songwriting in it is, it has intent, but it's got such like a light, joyous step to it, a side to it that I really just loved. And it's capturing what, if someone's saying Country Fresh, I feel like this is a perfect encapsulation of it. So I really enjoyed talking to David. It was the first time we'd met. It's the first time we talked. And I think we really hit it off. I had a great conversation with him, and I hope it comes through to you guys as well. Country Fresh is available now, and it is everywhere, every streaming platform. You can buy it from his website. But without further ado, this is episode 47 of Into the Van with Mike West and David Quinn. I've just been like, I spend like an hour before I start talking to people just like to refresh myself. And I was listening to a new album which comes out tomorrow, Country Fresh, and I've just gone back and started listening to Wandering Fool. And you've got it's Grassy Trails on Wandering Fool, and you've got it on the new album. What was the thought process behind redoing and reshaping that song?
Yeah. It's cool you caught that. There's a lot of folks who haven't caught that yet, so it's good to hear a chance to talk about it. But yeah, I put that first record out, and when I had recorded that first record, I hadn't really played those songs with a band or anything. So my engineer, who engineered the first one, Andre, he kind of had an idea of, I kind of just played it for him acoustic, and he kind of had some ideas how to put that one together. So we just tracked it, and I was really happy with how it came out and everything. But I came back to Illinois after I made that first record. I mean, this is years ago now, but put my band together, which is still some of the guys I play with now, and we just started playing it, and it kind of turned into the version it is now pretty quickly. I mean, within like a couple of months. So it was kind of weird. I started playing that song, and it sounded nothing like it was on the record, and it was sort of a staple in my set. I mean, I would play it almost every show, and it was right in the beginning of my set too. So I figured since I'm playing it so much and it's something I really enjoy playing, I was like, maybe we'll give it a proper re-recording of the way I do it and the way it kind of was more in my head. So that's kind of how I got to redoing that one.
Yeah. Nice, man. I think obviously if you've been playing that song for so long, it's not necessarily you can get bored of it, but the way it morphs and it can take on new meaning, and when you play it live, it takes on the whole thing. It was interesting to see because I feel like your first records got a bit more of like a rock alt country sound, while this is more of, I don't like to say, because people sometimes say polish like it's a bad thing, but this is a more like laser focused like style. Was that conscious? Because I think I read that the band you had there, they weren't really country musicians. Did that play a part in how it's been shaped going forward?
Yeah, a little bit. There's certainly totally different players on compared to Wandering Fool to now. And then I have that record in the middle, which was Letting Go, which some of the people on this new record were from that. Were also on my last record. But yeah, I mean, I think a big part of the difference from that gap was that, like I said, I was kind of traveling around when I recorded and wrote a lot of that first record. And I really just wrote those songs by myself. I mean, I always write them by myself, but, I didn't really have a band at that time to run them by and kind of work them out. So, I went in, and again, Andrea kind of put the band together, and it kind of just kind of morphed into what it did. With this record, I had much more time to think about that. I play drums. So when I write a song, I kind of know how I want it to sound on drums. And lead parts and things like that. So I had a lot more time to kind of figure it out. I pretty much went in there knowing for the most part how I wanted it beginning to end. That being said, the great musicians on this new record definitely had ideas that were great and helped morph, kind of the sound. But it was much more premeditated, I think, this newer record. And I think that probably is why it reflects in sort of a more of a directed kind of sound.
Cool, man. And let's just go back to the kind of your origin story. When did you pick up a guitar? When did you start playing and writing?
Yeah. Probably. So I grew up playing drums. I played drums since I was really young. I mean, I played, for like my 5th grade assemblies, so I was probably started playing drums in I don't know, 2nd or 3rd grade. Like I started pretty young on that. My brother and my dad always played guitar. So we always had guitars around the house, and I would play a little bit. I still don't consider myself too much of a guitar player necessarily. I don't really move past that 5th fret, but I more enjoy the writing process, and then, sort of a means to an end. I have to play guitar and sing my own songs, but the writing part is definitely more the passion for me. So I wrote songs. I wrote a lot. Like poetry, just kind of thoughts in general. While I played drums, and I would fiddle around on guitar a little bit over the years. But, I don't think I played a guitar in front of anyone till I was probably 17, 18 or something. So, and and even then it was so, it was still pretty scarce. I didn't get a little bit more serious about like practicing and trying to learn a little bit more about guitar until, probably, 7 years ago or so. That's when I started taking it a little bit more seriously. So
cool, man. And what was the catalyst behind the drums? Because I feel like everyone needs a drummer in this world. So I'm surprised no one this actually picked up, because I just like knocked it out of your hands and was like, no, you're doing a national service by playing drums. You need to be in at least 6 bands.
Right. Well, it's so funny, actually. That's exactly why it took me so long to do my own thing, is I was staying so busy. I mean, I was playing drums. Like my brother was in a pretty kind of well-known band around like just where we grew up. So, we started a band.
Is it an older brother?
Yeah, he's an older brother. Yeah.
So your dad and your brother were like, we need a drummer. And
that's right.
where you came into the picture.
Yep. Yeah. It's so easy, of course. So I'm like, okay. And then, they were always better. They were older, so they'd been playing longer. So they hung out with people who were better musicians than me and everything. So being around people that I looked up to, especially at that super young age, kind of pushed me to just try to get better and better at drums. So, we eventually started a band, that was multiple different formations. And then I played with, everyone around town, and then I moved to California. I played drums for a band out there, one of my best friend's bands. We toured around the West Coast and stuff. And that's kind of really where it happened. Right after I graduated high school, I moved out to California, traveled to play drums. And then that was when I was like, I just want to play my own songs, because I was so sick of playing drums for everybody else. It's just exactly like you said. It's so, you can be in high demand if you play drums. So that's kind of funny. Yeah. Then I just decided, I'm going to just quit everything else and just try to figure out how to sing and play guitar so I can play my own songs.
Yeah. Cool, man. And I was reading before that you did some writing in journaling. Obviously, you've just mentioned talking about poems and stuff. How did journaling kind of help define? Because I know I recently read Matthew McConaughey's Green Book, where that's all like his journal excerpts and how he made sense of things. And he swears by how you can help it to get a handle on your life. Was that something that you have learned from that process? Do you still journal and write stuff down in that sense?
Yeah, I really want to read that book, by the way. I've heard really good things about it.
Yeah. I highly recommend it. It is good. He's crazy, but occasionally, like, a broken clock's right twice a day. And every now and then, he's really on the fucking money.
Right. Oh, that's killer. Yeah, I'm going to pick that up. This is the last reminder I needed for it. So yeah, I still journal a lot and write down thoughts and phrases and sayings and just all that kind of stuff. I have notebooks filled with just, random thoughts and stuff. I think it helped me a lot. I mean, that's what really sort of, I always looked up to people like Bukowski and Allen Ginsberg and all the kind of older poetry and writers and stuff. And yeah, I think just getting my thoughts down on paper, especially then, because I didn't really play guitar or sing or know how to, kind of come up with melodies and such. It was a good way to get some thoughts out. But, that was like the perfect thing. When I was finally starting to play guitar, I would come back to those, and that's where all my songs come from. Yeah. I mean, even on the new record, like the song Heartland, that's sort of just a love song to the Midwest out here. And like, that was pretty much started as a poem I was just writing. And then I was like, oh, this could be a song, if we work it out right. So I think it's it's definitely my entrance way into writing songs. It's just all that kind of journaling and writing down thoughts and such.
Cool, man. Because like the song I Just Want to Feel Alright, that feels like something that may have sprung from a journal, something that's like a really honest way of putting that in, and then the way the music builds and stuff. I just felt that was a really sincere track. Did that come from the same type of process? Yeah,
absolutely. I appreciate that, by the way. I find it easier to kind of write down more like frank, serious feelings also when I'm just writing it in a notebook and I'm not sitting right with the guitar thinking like this is going to be a song. It's kind of easier to just be writing in the notebook and then coming back to and turning it into a song.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. That's another good example of that sort of chorus started as some thoughts and then kind of developed into like a poem-ish kind of thing. And then, I knew like, okay, I'd like to turn this into a song. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's a hard balance, I think, because I've talked to other songwriters and you start experiencing things and there's always a part of your brain that goes, this is a song idea. but then it almost starts to cheapen the emotions you're feeling. It's like you start feeling like you're selling out your emotional process for the sake of a song instead of just being in the moment to feel those things. So it's interesting to be able to write something down and feel it then and there, and then go back to it in hindsight or with just like a clearer, more distance after you felt it to do it, because it's a hard line to balance, I think, walking those things.
Yeah, that's a really good point that I don't think I've heard anyone say before. That is true, and I've done it too, right? Where I've heard a phrase or whatever, and I mean I have a notebook and on my phone, and I'll go right in and write it down, and then you're already thinking of ideas, and you're right, you almost get away from the actual feeling because you're trying to turn it into something instead of kind of experiencing it and then coming back to it. Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah, it's always a hard line to walk. I think it's a weird one because, like, I remember there's a track called "You Will See Me" by a guy called Scroobius Pip, this English rapper, and it's about like a breakup and things. And someone was like, "Is it about you?" And he was like, "It's partly about someone else, but I didn't want to cheapen their emotional experience by stealing it." And it was an interesting like thought process of acknowledging that this is actually a serious thing. It's not just something that should be consumed for entertainment. It's something you have to sit with and chew for a while.
Right. Wow. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, it's a really interesting thought too, and it's so true. It's kind of like photography and stuff too. It's like it's a fine line of taking the moment in, as opposed to taking your phone out or your camera right away and capturing the moment too. Because it's like now you have the moment forever, but did you really experience it there? It's an interesting thing to think about.
Yeah, it's a hard one. I remember years and years ago, I did a skydive, and
cool.
My mum and my girlfriend at the time went with me, and without telling me, they paid for like the filming of it. And I kind of I didn't want it to happen because I didn't want my memory to be erased of whenever I watch it, I'll remember it from that point of view instead of the point of view that I actually went through it with.
Right.
It was a weird thing to reconcile. To be like, I don't want a weird, confused memory of it.
Yeah, that's so true. I get that a lot with like childhood stuff. I'll remember the home video version of it and not actually experiencing it, and it's the same thing.
Yeah. It's crazy one, but with obviously Country Fresh is out tomorrow and a sold out show in Chicago. That's got to be a good feeling.
Oh yeah, I'm so excited to sell it out a couple days in advance too. It's just such a special thing too, especially after the last couple of years. I mean, I've only played around town a couple times, and like none of those were kind of like a headline my show thing. It was I hopped on some other bands shows, so it really felt good to have sort of a pointed show of me, and I kind of handpicked my two other artists that are going to open up the show, and it feels so special. I'm just totally honored. I mean, I was just saying today, I can't get any work done. I mean, all I can think about is tomorrow. I can't wait to get out there. So
yeah, who else is playing with you? Who's opening the show?
So the show's going to start with my buddy. They're in a band called the Family Gold. Really cool, like upright fiddle, guitar, kind of a real nice kind of intro into the night. And then my buddy Mikey G is going to be playing before me. And he's kind of got like a country rockabilly sound. He's a good buddy of mine in Chicago, and he's kind of on like the north side of Chicago. Really good buddy of mine too that I've known for a while. We really get along well. So I think he's going to do a good job of getting everybody riled up, and then I'll get on. So I'm excited.
Cool, man. And I think, is it you are from just outside of Chicago? So was Chicago the main city that you initially started playing in? Was it open mics and things you started out with, or how did you get started in when you had the songs you'd written to start getting them out to the world?
Yeah, so I grew up, probably about 40 to 50 miles west of the city. So, it was always like as a kid, we'd go in for games and concerts and stuff. But I mean, it was still 45-minute drive or so. So I was living, when I really kind of decided to start, doing this and trying to play out, I was living a little bit farther west of the city. So I was playing out there a little bit. I had met some buddies of mine who were in a band called the Giving Tree Band that was pretty big at the time. They kind of took me under their wing, and they have a studio. So I ended up recording like a little EP there that I never put out or anything. But and then they took me on the road. They toured full time and, made a living playing music. So they took me out on a bunch of shows, and they were really the first people to really kind of like give me a, kind of believe in me and say, hey, like, we'll help you out a little bit. So that was really kind of where I cut my teeth. So that's still way outside of the city. And then I got into the city and started playing out there as well. But I had already played a lot of these venues as a drummer in Chicago. So it was so different. And like, I didn't book any of those, I was just a drummer. So I just show up and play. So now it was totally different booking at these venues. They're my songs, it's my band. So it was a really kind of weird, like, 360 coming around that way. So then I kind of just started over in Chicago and built up. And I now live in Indiana, so not too far out. But it's kind of good to just get back there. It still feels like, I'm not really a city guy, but it still feels kind of like home when I get everyone together in Chicago for a show like this. So
cool, man. Was there anything you learned from booking those early shows, like to start? Like, did you have a mind of like, obviously you said you wanted to grow it, you wanted to get out there and start building a base. Was there anything you had in mind that you needed to do to kind of achieve that as like the first step and blocks of booking those shows?
Yeah, I remember in the beginning thinking like, oh, I'm not even going to be able to book a show, who's going to book me? But, you eventually get the first show and then you get a bunch. But, yeah, I mean, the goal in the very beginning was just like, I just want to play my songs in front of people. And I was pretty determined to do that. I mean, I did tons of open mics and songwriter nights and stuff like that, but I wanted to put like a group of players together, make a record, and then start playing. So that's exactly what I did. I mean, that was really my focus, because my biggest thing was confidence, like in singing and playing guitar. Cause I was confident as a drummer, I could kind of play with whoever. I could at least hang good enough. I'm not the best drummer in the world by any means, but I could get by. So this was a totally different thing. And I was like, oh, I gotta prove to myself. I felt like I had to prove to other people too. So that was my biggest hurdle, was like book shows, get in front of people and get comfortable playing and singing guitar and kind of get those nerves off. And I mean, I still get, I still have nerves, but it was a good couple of years of just doing that, like, 3-4 shows a week and like to really break it in. And I felt so much better after those couple of years. I could look back and I'm like, wow, I was like shaking in the beginning and now I can at least be a little more comfortable. So I think that was the most important thing for me personally.
Cool, man. And was that when you started adding plays, and was it, you noticed more of a response when you had a band with it as opposed to like being on your own with an acoustic?
I actually, I love doing both and I get good responses either way, but I had been doing so much. I had been playing drums as a band. So I was used to a band kind of feel. And then I went from that to like opening acoustic for my buddies who took me out and playing more songwriter type of things, which I loved because it helped also kind of cut my teeth and be vulnerable. But I've always had this, in the back of my head, like I love the idea of while it's still not a band, it's my stuff, but I've been playing with at least 3 of the guys since I started that are still with me now. And I've always loved that sense of like a band, even if it's, just the same guys you're around all the time. You get that sort of connection playing with people. So I think that's like always been in the back of my head. Even when I was playing solo, I'm like, oh, gosh, I can't wait to have some guys behind me again. or people behind me again. And then that's kind of, I think, why I kind of jumped and said, I'm going to try to put some players together.
Cool, man. And I think people don't realize how big a jump it is, even from a drummer or anything, to when you're actually singing in front of people. Was there a point when you were like, oh shit, I don't actually sound that bad? And that kind of gave you the boost to do? Because I know sometimes it can be, you can hear there isn't a confidence in the voice on tracks, and on your records there's, it's a fully confident, like you thought you'd have like hit the floor like singing. So was there a point of time where you realized like, oh, I've got this?
Oh man, well, thank you very much. By the way, I still get tickled whenever I hear something complimentary about the vocals. So I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, there was, especially in like the very beginning, at the end of shows, that would be my sort of biggest gripe, was like, I got to get more comfortable, because the way I would explain it to people, because people would be like, oh no, I thought it sounded good. My sort of way to explain it is like on drums, I could easily express my feeling on drums. Like I could play harder, I could do a fill or whatever that is. Um, and I hear a lot of vocal melodies that I just couldn't hit in the beginning. That's what was so frustrating. Also, as a guitar player, I write some of the lead guitar parts, but I can't play them. I have to hum them to my buddy, which that I can kind of get over. But the vocal one, I've always like, I wish I could hit these, because in the end, it's really just sort of like the expression that I'm trying to come through. So that was tough. But there was a time, there was a show probably like a year and a half in, and I still remember like singing, playing there, and I was like, it doesn't sound so it doesn't sound so bad. And then we got the board mix from it, and I listened back, and that's when I was like, oh, okay, like it's not as bad as I thought. And I think the confidence then kind of grew from there. And then going back to playing solo stuff, which I did, I still do some songwriter stuff, which I really enjoy. That's when I really, you're so vulnerable. And that's where I like really developed, oh, great. The more confident I am, the better it sounds. So that's kind of where I think I made the actual transition to being confident up there.
Cool, man. And did you have any lessons or anything, or is it just putting the hours in live?
Yeah, no lessons at all. I mean, I took like formal drum lessons growing up, but that doesn't help you for guitar and singing. So no, just putting the reps in, really.
Yeah, sick, man. And I read that this is a quote from you, allegedly. I don't know how true this quote is, but when I heard Towns for the first time, I couldn't write a song for 6 months because I knew I'd never be that good. Is that a true?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I still remember the first time I heard Towns, and it just like absolutely blew my mind, especially once I dove into his catalog a little bit more. I mean, it really did. It was like a weird, almost depression where I just, I don't know if it was 6 months, but it was definitely, I was like, oh God, this is the bar I'm shooting for, and it's so far beyond where I'll ever be. So, his stuff hit me really, really hard. Him and John Prine also. That Towns in particular definitely hit me pretty hard.
Yeah. What was the thing that kind of snapped you out of it? Because I was talking to, there's a guy in Kentucky called James Reed who's phenomenal. And I had him on the podcast a while back, and he was talking in Kentucky. He's kind of from where Tyler Childers is from. And he said he knows about 50 people who hung up their guitars once Tyler hit the scene because they knew they wouldn't be that good. And we had that discussion about just because you aren't going to hit Prine or Towns doesn't mean what you're doing isn't any less valid. It's just they found a way to not necessarily perfect it, but make it such a relatable thing. What was it that snapped you out of that kind of mindset and got you back to writing?
Yeah. I think, I somehow came to that same conclusion that, I've gotten a ton of nice messages throughout the years about songs that I've written in, and those are kind of reminders that it's like, oh, okay, maybe it's not on that level, but this also touches people the way, in some way that, Towns has touched my life or John Prine has touched my life. So, I mean, even if it's one person like that was enough for me to be like, oh, okay, it's definitely worth, to keep fighting for. I also think, I like to have something to work towards. And even if that goal is unattainable, it'll get me through my life. So I think I also realized it's really good motivation to sort of just keep going, musically.
Yeah. I remember I was listening to, is a Hello in there when it's naked as the eyes of a clown. And it's just like, God damn it. What a fucking, perfect line, zero fat.
Right.
Let's just call it a day.
Right. Yeah. It gives me chills. That song, I just had to do a interview and they asked me my favorite John Prine song. And I said Hello in there. I mean, I don't know if it's my all time, it's one of my top favorites that still hits me to this day. I mean, and I saw him play it live, like a couple years before he passed. And it just honestly brought me to tears. It's like such an incredible song. And I think that he wrote that when he was, still so young too. Yeah. It's just extraordinary. And then, he's from not far from where I'm from, he's from outside of Chicago as well. So he was like the reason I really started to write songs. I heard him pretty young. And I was like, oh, I've always liked more sort of twangy music. And it was cool to hear like, oh, this guy came from, similar area, and he's writing music that sounds like this. And, there was a little bit of fun in some of his
Yeah.
songs, but then he'd also write a serious song, similar to Towns Van Zandt. And that's really what sparked it all for me. That was like, oh, I'm going to give this a shot. So incredible.
Yeah. No, it's amazing, man. I'm a huge Prime fan. I've got a Spanish pipe dream tattoo.
Oh, killer. That's great.
Yeah, I've just got a TV exploding.
I love it. Blow up your TV. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, but it's one of those things. Like, I just got his 1975 box set because I went to a record store and they had like his record store day exclusive that no one had bought, and he'd reduced it. And I was like, well, that's fucking mine. And I was listening to it. It's is it live at the? Oh, what the fuck? I can't remember where it's live. I think it's in New York.
Okay.
But it's just the way he balanced humor and the serious stuff. It's just an insane way that he did it. Like the intro he did to Angel from Montgomery, where he's talking about this woman and she sits down on the couch after doing the dishes and she starts screaming. And it's like a really heavy introduction. He's like, and I knew all this because I was a peeping Tom. And it's just he managed to like bring it back.
Oh, that's so great. That's so great. Yeah, it's truly like masterful. It's like, it's masterful. Him and Towns both did that, where they would have these jokes between jokes and such serious songs. And, there's on the John Prine side, like, since he has that sort of Midwestern thing that I identify so much with, because I'm just, I also grew up in the Midwest, and I think there's something specific about growing up in this area. And like, it's just so incredible. I mean, I still kind of try to study as much as I can. I want to look up that live record because I don't know if I know.
Yeah. I think it's live at the other end. I think it might be.
Okay.
Let me just.
Yeah, I'm going to look that up after we are off here. But yeah, I mean, it's incredible. Even in that song, the flies, they're buzzing. You can hear them, they're buzzing. Like the way he'll just describe a scene is so simple and yet so effective and just beautiful at the same time. It's incredible.
Yeah, but yeah, it's I've just give it a quick Google. It's John Prine live at the other end from 1975. Okay. But with the Midwest, obviously you've put your flag in Black Dirt country.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anyone, obviously you talk about John Prine, your Midwest influences, is there anyone in yourself and contemporary influences you think kind of define that sound?
Gosh, I don't know. I'm not totally sure. There are some other bands that are doing it that are around here and use that too. I didn't come up with it or anything, but I know there's other bands using that, but I'm not totally sure. I mean, I really kind of equate it to like lifestyle and all that kind of stuff too, instead of, not just strictly music. But not really. I kind of go back to John Prine when it comes to that stuff, because he was, at least from my understanding, he was from Illinois, outside of Chicago, and sort of mixed all these different, folk music, kind of country, a little bit of everything. So I kind of look back to him whenever I sort of talk about the Midwest country thing or Black Dirt country.
Has anyone put it on a t-shirt yet? Because they'll get the first credit.
Well, I did. So
you're in there. It's fine.
I think I think I might be the first one to put it on a t-shirt. So
it's in the bag. It's yours. Get it TM'd.
There we go. We'll take it. Yeah, I know. And to be honest, I mean, I hope like people start, it'd be cool, so I don't know if you're familiar, like Oklahoma country music, people call it red dirt country, so it would be cool if everyone started using it and it was just became a known thing. That's what, I mean, it would be great to sort of have a presence, because, like you talked about Kentucky, everyone's starting to, I mean, Kentucky, there's been great artists coming from Kentucky forever, but now it's becoming a thing. Like, oh, it's all these great songwriters. Everyone's starting to know, like, oh, they all come from Kentucky. And then there's, there's songwriters from Texas and songwriters from Nashville, but there's never really been this sort of like, oh, the Midwest country. Even John Prine, people think of him as a Nashville guy a lot of the time, and don't know that, he was from here. So I don't know. I hope it picks up. Either way, I'm going to keep running with it. So
yeah, it's hard, man, because there's always arguments about genre. And I wish country music fans and country music artists kind of embrace genre the way metal does. Because obviously there's metal, and then everything breaks down into black, symphonic, death, post-death, pre-death, thrash, whatever. While then it's like, this is country, that isn't. And it's like, well, it's a version of country. That's
Right.
Black Day country, that's Red Day country, this is Appalachian, this is bluegrass. And I
Mhm.
wish there was a more accepting, like, wider reach of it, because it's either it's country or it's not, tends to be the most like mindset of most country fans.
Yeah, I agree. That's very well said too. I get that question a lot about, oh, do you call your music country, or what do you call it? And that's part of the reason why the Black Dirt thing came up. Is because if you were to just ask me, I would just say it's like country rock and roll kind of thing. But like, you could make the argument that it's not rock and roll. You can make the argument that some of it's not country or whatever. So I think that's what they were trying to do with the Americana thing, was like bunch it all together. But then I think people got sort of resentment of that term too.
But
So,
I feel like Americana tried to take the teeth out of the thing.
right. Right. There was something that it wasn't as sincere as what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Of it being, you know what I mean? But yeah, I agree with you there for sure.
Yeah. Because like I've got my weird version of UK country that I call bastard country, because it's just a bastardized version with like punk and rock and different styles and stuff. And I just feel like just creating stuff and trying to set your own stamp, putting it on a t-shirt and hoping people resonate with it is a better way than trying to be like, well, actually I'm being psychedelic. Like, if you have to explain it in like more than 3 words, you've failed. Like you need to keep it succinct, and it needs to be like t-shirt worthy.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, 100% agree. That's great. I like the term bastard country too. That's great.
Well, it's just I know I'm not like Buck Owens, and I know I'm not like George Jones or something. Like, I got introduced recently as old country when I said alt country, like ALT.
Yeah,
I have to be like, you have to reintroduce me, because a lot of people are going to be disappointed if they think I'm about to go up there and be like something I'm not. And it's one of those things where it just helps you kind of not only in your own identity, but it gives people that expectation of what it's doing with Black Day country. You know, it's of the land, you know, it's including the lifestyle, you know, it's got that country fresh thing to it.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it even sounds kind of cool, right? Like it's so I thought my steel player had come up with it. He's the one who just randomly came up with it, and we're like, oh my gosh, this is great. So I started using it, and then once we looked it up, we're like, oh, a couple other people had been saying versions of it. So it's cool. I mean, I think it's slowly getting there, but I agree. I think it's people get so caught up in these titles. It's so tricky. And sometimes people would like a band, but then they don't give it a shot, maybe because of a certain title or not the title, So yeah, I think, country music fans it can be tricky a little bit.
Yeah. And I think they do need to embrace, because obviously you had like the Bakersfield side in California. And if people kind of embrace it the same way, there was like the New York punk movement, the LA punk movement, the London punk movement, having the areas do affect things, and it's an interesting thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. And you can hear it in the sound, which is so cool. Yeah. And that's what I think is so interesting, that I still think to this day, there's not really a definitive, like Midwest sort of movement. I mean, like, even when you ask, like, is there contemporary, I mean, there's not really, you can't really name, like, if you ask people, oh, what's like Midwestern country, there's no one really pushing it as that. So I don't know. Hopefully catches on a little bit more, and we can start having some names to mention, and me being one of those.
Yeah. No, that would be sick. With the Midwest, obviously it's a large place I'm not super familiar with, because I'm in Britain. So like, I think Britain fits off like 5 or 6 times into the Midwest, or it'll be something like that. But do you tour much outside of Illinois and stuff? Like, how far like do you really go for shows and things?
Yeah. So I've been traveling more recently, and then pending a couple things, I think I'm going to have a pretty busy year where I'll be getting out and playing just about everywhere in the U.S. Might be getting up to Canada too in the fall, which will be cool. But the Midwest is also another arguable thing, which is funny. It's in the middle, and it's kind of hard to determine where that line stops and you get to the South, or you get to the East or West or North. But I kind of have my general idea of what it is. But yeah, I've been traveling. I've been down in Nashville a lot. I was out in Oklahoma recently, in Memphis, playing some shows out that way. So I'm getting around a lot more recently. And like I said, I think if all goes well, I'm going to be getting just about everywhere the rest of this year, out to Texas, and then probably out to the East Coast as well. So fingers crossed that all kind of goes through. But I'm looking forward to getting out a little bit farther and playing these songs for people. So.
Cool, man. And what's the crowds been like as you've gotten further away? Because I feel like, especially if you're calling yourself Black Day Country and this is Midwestern country, nothing will solidify that sound or viewpoint more than, traveling to the home of Red Day Country or something.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And people have been really warm about it. I try to say at least a mention of it on stage to just say, hey, I'm from the Midwest and I have a song called Boy from Illinois that's on the new record. And I'll usually slip it in there saying, I call what we do Black Day Country. And people have been really warm welcome on it, and people seem to like it. So, it's always great to get some sort of reassurance there.
Right on, man. I'm with Country Fresh. That was from an ashtray at the recording studio, was it?
Yeah.
Have you robbed that ashtray yet, or is it still there?
I don't know if I can answer that question, but
because I feel like because it was there while you were recording your second album, and then it was there again while you were recording this one. So no one's gonna miss it, are they?
Right. I don't think so. Well, yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, and it was way in the back. So the first time it was way in the back. I mean, it literally had like cobwebs and dust all over it. And I asked my engineer who's worked there forever, and he's like, "Oh, dude, I haven't seen that. Like, I've never even seen that." He's like, "It's probably been there for 40 years." So I'm like, "Oh, wow, that's cool." That's where I got it in my head, and I started using the phrase to just describe anything I liked, like good food, a good moment, a good song, good music, whatever. And then I went back and I recorded it in that same studio last year when I made Country Fresh, and I was looking around for it and I couldn't find it. I'm like, dude, you know where that Country Fresh ashtray is? And he's like, I was like, oh, no, I haven't seen it since that day. So we went looking around, and sure enough, it wasn't in the same spot, but it was like way in the back again in a different corner. And I was like, wow, incredible. Because he knew, we were recording the record Country Fresh anyway. So, and then I put it out in the middle for everyone, and where it is now, I can't speak to, but but yeah, it was very special to me. I love it. It's great.
No, that's awesome, man. And it's such like a good phrase. It reminded me, I don't know if you know, there was a thing in the 90s called Syphil and Ollie, which was like sock puppets.
Oh, okay. No,
and it was done by, do you remember Liam Lynch? He was a musician. He did My United States of Whatever, which was quite a big hit in like the mid 2000s.
Sure.
It was his puppet show. And he did this thing called Crescent Fresh. And it was explaining that people used this phrase in a scene near him. And he was just singing a song with these puppets about what Crescent Fresh is and is not. The second I read Country Fresh, I ended up doing a deep dive on watching them videos again because I was like, I fucking get it, man.
Oh, I love it. I'm going to look that up too now.
I'll send you a link to it. I've just sent it to my mate because I remember we watched it in high school. And for ages, we were those annoying kids that kept calling stuff Crescent Fresh. And everyone was like, that's not a fucking thing. I was like, if we say it enough, it will be.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, right. Oh, that's great. Yeah, it's kind of got like its own sound to it. That's why I fell in love with it right away when I heard it. I'm like, and again, I always go back to even back then I was, kind of caught up in the genre thing. And like, I never knew what to identify as for genre. And I was like, oh, this is the fucking best because it's country, but it's still one extra word, so it's like its own thing. But that's funny. And
it's showing the joy of it as well, man. It's not just like, this is country, which can be like, I'm planting my flag and this is the hill I'm dying on. It's like, it's Country Fresh, man. This is something we need to celebrate.
Right. Yeah, you're right. You're totally right. There is a little bit of there's a little bit of funness to it. I think that you wouldn't get if it was just like you said, just straight up country, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cool, man. And obviously I've been doing a bit more research and things. I think it was the Bluegrass station said that your cornbread and chili is your version of Guy Clark's Homegrown Tomatoes, which is a hell of a tagliner. You must be hella proud with that one.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've been wanting to write. So I'm a huge Guy Clark fan.
Did you ever get to see him live?
No, I didn't. That was one of my goals because I saw John Prine and a couple times actually, and then Towns had already passed, so I was hoping I'd be able to see Guy Clark live, but I wasn't able to, unfortunately. So huge fan. I mean, he's, one of my top inspirations. So he's got a lot of mentions of food. He's got Texas Cooking, which is also another great. I mean, that chorus is incredible. Because he walks that line of where he can write a song about food, but it's like not too silly, but it's also still fun, kind of like we were saying. So I've always wanted to do that, and I've just never been. It never came natural. I mean, I tried, and it just never worked. And then when I moved out here to Indiana, cornbread and chili just kind of came out. I mean, I love cornbread and I love chili, and that's what I eat a lot. So it kind of came out naturally. And then when I went into the studio, I remember telling the guys like, hey, basically that, like, I don't want this to be hokey, but it's also still kind of a fun song. And everyone's like, oh, it'll be fine. And then we went in and tracked it, and like it hit the way it is on the record. And I was like, okay, this is great. I love it. It sort of walks that line. So. Yeah.
No, that's sick, man, because it's hard with artists like Guy Clark or Prine and stuff where they have that humor and things too. If you try and force it, you can spot it a mile away. But that was one of those things. Cornbread and Chili, it has that kind of lighthearted vibe to it, but it's not. Like, I wouldn't have put the Guy Clark connection really if I hadn't seen that tagline from Bluegrass Station, because obviously I know that song, but it wasn't like, oh, he's trying to do this. Right.
Which I'm glad. And it really, I should also preface with, I mean, it's definitely sincere. I mean, I always say, if I have any vice, it's food. I mean, I've partied in my life. I've done it, I've had some fun, but like, food is certainly my vice. It's what I look forward to every day, and it's what I can get carried away with. So, I wanted to try to verbalize that somehow in one of my songs. And then getting into Guy Clark, I kind of saw how he did it sort of gracefully. And then that's where this was kind of born from. So I do appreciate the kind words on that, because I've been, trying to do that for a while. And then it was almost when I forgot about it is when it came naturally to me. It was interesting.
Right on, man. With food and stuff, when you're touring and things, do you try and experiment or find like new places to eat, or is it hard to because pizza every night's really not good for you, as I've found out a couple of times. Right. Is there a way that you try and find new food? Like, are you a bit of a foodie when you go to different cities and things when you're on tour?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Just because there's just so much good out here, especially you go to like Texas, the barbecue is incredible. I mean, even in like Nashville, I mean, they have tons of good Nashville hot chicken. So yeah, I mean, that's one of my favorite things. Me and my bass player who tours with me a lot, he's like me too. He just loves food. So my only way to get around it is like, I'll try to just drink coffee all day and like not eat a bunch of stuff while we're driving, and then, have a good guilt-free meal whenever I get to wherever we're at. But yeah, it's one of my favorite things to do. And also breakfast is the best. So we'll try all the different places, but the safe bet is a Cracker Barrel. Have you been to a Cracker Barrel ever?
No.
It's so good. It's like biscuits, sweet tea. It's really good comfort breakfast food out here, and they're everywhere. They're probably, I'm sure they're in every single state. So that's always sort of the safe bet. If you're in the middle of nowhere, you could always go to a Cracker Barrel. So that's I've been to plenty of those around.
Have there been any like highlights of the things that have stood out, your culinary experiences that you just always hankering for, or if you're going to be back in that city, like, I'm gonna hit there?
Yeah. Gosh, there is. Well, in Tennessee, the Nashville hot is always great. They have like Nashville hot chicken, which is kind of spicy chicken. That's great. They have a really cool breakfast place that I love called Loveless. It might be a little mainstream, but I still think it's great. And they have these homemade biscuits and jam out there. And then Texas, all the barbecue, I just absolutely love. There's just so much good food out there.
Yeah. And do you do much cooking at home? Do you like barbecue and things?
I don't. My buddy, my bass player, he does it. He does, he'll do all the smoked meats and all that kind of shit. But I love to eat it, but I don't cook it too much. I mean, I cook a little bit, but just basic stuff. Yeah. I'm more, I go out more when I'm kind of celebrating good food.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I've just, I dug my barbecue out yesterday from the shed, and it was not in good shape. So I had to scrub it down, and I've been, just steel wiring the grill for the last day and a bit just to get it back up to shape and get it ready for the good weather.
Right. Yeah. What's it like out by you guys now? Is it nice?
It's Britain, so it's still shit.
Yeah.
But, but
Right.
it's been quite nice today, and it had a bit of rain. So I'm hoping, obviously, it's like Good Friday and like the bank holiday. We've got like 4 days off after today. So
Oh,
I'm
cool.
hoping to get some barbecuing done maybe Sunday or Monday while I'm off. But I
Oh,
really
good.
like, I got told, I don't know if you know the Plot Hounds, they're a Minnesotan band.
Okay.
Noah, the singer from that, taught me how to turn like a kettle drum into a smoker, like a kettle barbecue. So I
Yeah.
managed to do a couple of those last year where I smoked some pork shoulders. So I'm itching to do that again. But I'm more itching about just being able to have 8 hours free time to actually do that.
Right, right, right. Yeah, it's gonna be a good feeling.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, man. But obviously with Country Fresh, what are your plans for 2022? Because obviously Letting Go came out during the pandemic. So
Mhm.
you're kind of touring 2 records this year.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's funny. Someone else said that too, and that's absolutely right. I mean, my set right now is pretty much half of Letting Go, half of Country Fresh. Yeah, I mean, again, it's I pending something that I should know pretty quickly. I think full time touring. I think just playing as much as I can, getting out. I'm already. I've written most of the songs that I want to do on the next record. So gonna start kind of demoing those out and figuring out where I want to make that record and how that process is gonna go. But those are my main two goals: is just get out, play as much as possible, and outside of sort of this area, and then get these new songs down so I can get some studio time scheduled for next year and get this next record going. So.
Yeah. Cool, man. And just to go a bit more inside of baseball, I got pitched your stuff from a Sweetheart PR, who
Sure.
I'd contacted to try, because I had Charles Wesley Godwin on a while back, and they
Oh,
kind
great.
of represented him, and I got him in the Danberries. And every now and then they send me an email and stuff, and one of yours was what jumped at me, and I was like, I definitely want to fucking talk to this guy.
Oh,
What
great.
what was the kind of thought process behind hiring a PR person? Because I know sometimes I think younger musicians or musicians new to the game, they think writing a good record's enough.
Mm-hmm.
And that's very rarely the case. What was the kind of idea behind working with a PR company to get Country Fresh to more ears? Had you worked with them before or worked with a PR company before?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually know Rachel over there who works there. So we've known each other over the years. So that was kind of the catalyst for it all. It was like, hey, I want to put this record out. Can you help? And she's always, great with wanting to help, and putting out Letting Go over the pandemic, was such a record that I also believe so much in and means so much to me that, it was great. I got some really good ears on it and stuff, but, it was a really tough time to put a record out. So I knew I wanted to just had to do everything possible for this record. So that's kind of where it stemmed from. I had read an article a long time ago from Sturgill Simpson saying when he put out High Top Mountain, that first record, and he talked about it. He's like, it doesn't matter how good your record is. Like, unfortunately, the way the business model is, you need somebody who's nobody's going to write about it unless you get it to them, and you can only get it to them through this model. So I don't know. I noted that right away when I read that article. I kept that in the back of my head, knowing that you need a little bit of help, no matter how much you believe in your record or whatever. Just it always helps. So I hit up Rachel, and she was down to do that, and that's when kind of put the team together. I also just started working with the manager that I had been talking to for a while, and we really hit it off. And he's helped me tremendously, and he also was fully in support of like, hey, let's do this one as big as possible. Let's get some help on the PR side. So that's kind of where all that came from.
Yeah. Cool, man. No, I released a record in 2020 as well during a pandemic, so it's good to know that we're both marketing geniuses.
Yeah. Right. We'll be known in history now for that. Yeah.
Yeah, just a real smart decision.
I know, yeah. I go back and forth kicking myself for it sometimes, and then I think, well, if I didn't put it out, it would have been nothing for the whole year.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I go back and forth between it, but that's it's funny to think about it. I think in the long run we did the right thing, or at least I want to hope so.
Yeah, I think it showed the non-physical side of music is still there, and people still needed and wanted music.
Mhm.
That's what the straw I'm clinging to be like, yeah, this was a small thing, even though I couldn't tour it, because it's still kind of reconciling, like, it used to be you had to tour and that's how you made a living because the music industry was in the fucking brink. But then if the touring
Right.
goes away, you still have to kind of conform to the music industry as it kind of is. And that's how
Right.
you get your music out. Are you independently releasing your music? Are you on a label or?
So yeah, I'm doing it all independently. Me and my manager have
Nice.
been, you know, doing this all on our own. We're working with Soundly for distribution, and they're
Mm,
helping get the records in record stores and everything. And they've been great, and they've been really, believers of the record, which has helped a ton too. And they're
mm,
all great people. So we have a little team put together. But yeah, it's all independent.
mm.
Just doing the best you
Yeah.
can.
No, that's the best thing, man. And I think that's one of the good things. It's you don't realize until you're in it. Obviously, the way everything's been set up before that is it's like you need a manager, you need a label, you need this, you need that. And it's like, well, if you have the right people, you can bypass a label because they're going to take your music and you don't own it anymore. So
Right.
if you can find someone to work independently with you, you can kind of, in this day and age, bypass that whole system because you can still work with distribution networks. If you get a good PR person like Rachel, you can still reach people that you wouldn't normally. And I think
Right.
you're a great example of an independent artist who's coming up, talented, great records to back it up, but is also, and this is the huge thing, is being on the fucking ball with the kind of back end of everything.
Hmm. Yeah, God, it's great. It's tough, as you
Yeah.
know, right? It's like it's tough, but in the end, at this point at least, it is nice to know I own my music.
Yeah.
I assume you're in the same boat, which
Yeah.
is a good place to be in. So yeah, I think I agree. I think you can do it on your own, especially nowadays. I mean, it's like if you get the right sort of help in certain
Yeah.
places, you can do it and kind of just keep pushing. I had some label interest too coming into this and talked to my manager a lot about it. And, we're kind of like, let's just do this,
Mm.
and see what we can do. And so far it's been a really nice response. And, I get humbled every day,
Mm.
from people reaching out and just nice, kind words, like, and meeting good folks like yourself. And, so yeah, it's motivating to, like, okay, maybe just keep doing this as long as you can. So
Yeah. I think it's got to be a good feeling as well because it's not like this is your first record where when you're releasing your first record, they're the questions that you really consider. It's like, should I be on a label? But, this is 3 records in now. You're kind of hitting your stride in the game and you know what you're about and what you want to do and what you don't want to do, which is one of the most important things.
right. Oh, 100%. I think those are some of the best lessons I've learned, at least over the past like 5 years, or all the things I know I don't want to be and roads I don't want to go down. So yeah, I mean, I think that's some of the most important stuff.
Cool, man. And you recently did some shows with Jeremy Pinnell. Do you have any other kind of gigs with other people coming up?
I'm actually might be doing a couple more, another kind of a longer run with Jeremy, pending a couple things. But yeah, I've been lucky enough. I've been able to play with some really great bands that I look up to. Mike and the Moon Pies is
Mm,
another great band that I love those guys, and they've been kind enough to bring me on for some stuff.
mm,
Flatline Calvary, I played with them recently in Chicago at the end of last year, which was a great show. They're
mm.
killer too. So yeah, all these the shows are the biggest like pending thing in my life
Yeah.
right now. So I'm trying to lock some of that stuff down so I can get things announced. But yeah,
Mm.
hopefully some cool things coming up this year.
Yeah. Oh, that's like I just kind of forgot. I was meant to be playing with Mike and the Moon Pies in Manchester this week, on the Monday just gone, but they've rescheduled the whole tour to next year. And I was really fucking excited about getting to see them live and hopefully buying like they'd have merch so I could like buy shit.
Oh wow! And you were going to open for them?
Yeah, I was going to
Oh
be opening
great!
the Manchester show.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, Mike and all those guys are great. Oh man, well hopefully
Yeah.
you get a chance to see. Have you seen them play yet before?
No, I've not seen them played. I don't know if this is their first UK tour. It's meant to be their first UK tour, but I think it's either the first or second. And I was really fucking excited to see them because their new
Yeah,
album's brilliant. And
yeah, it's
it's
so good.
the promoter. I was like, can I get on it? And it all got approved. And then obviously it got rescheduled due to COVID and whatever. And I'd kind of been like, all right, whatever, I'll get on it with it. But I'd forgot to take the notification on my calendar and it popped up on Monday the 11th. Like, I was like, fuck.
That's a rough reminder. Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm sure you'll get on that other one. They're great, man. They're so cool to play with. They put on such a good show. All really good guys. Yeah, it's been a pleasure to kind of get to know them over the years. I've played with them a couple times, and each time it's always such a good time.
Yeah. Right on, man. And with those tours, are you getting out of Illinois and stuff again? Is it like with the Jeremy stuff, is that a longer rundown like the East Coast or?
Yeah, a little bit everywhere. So I recently did those little run with Jeremy, which was it was kind of Midwest. It was Ohio and Kentucky, so south and west a little bit. And then some pending stuff that's going to be south again, but a little bit different, south and west again too. So yeah, finally getting out of sort of the immediate like Midwest, like Indiana, Illinois area.
No, right on, man. Well, we've hit up the hour mark. I don't want to take up too much of your time because I know you've got to stare at a wall and get really excited for the Chicago show tomorrow.
Right. Yeah.
Is there anything you do to kind of prepare for live gigs, or is it do you all gather around the Country Fresh ashtray and pray to the country gods or anything?
Right. You know what? I think I'm going to start doing that. That's might be my routine for tomorrow. I prepare a little bit. I'll just kind of sing and pick a couple tunes to warm up, but nothing really. I mean, the only sort of thing I do, I always step away like 20 minutes or so before going on stage. I always like to be alone for a little bit and just kind of, especially if it's a larger crowd, kind of just shake everything off and just kind of get focused, because sometimes it's easy, if you're partying and then before you know it, you're going on and you're walking from the bar to the stage and you don't get a minute. And I always find that throws me off a little bit, because I do have a couple drinks before I play. So I like to step away. I usually set an alarm on my phone, like 15 to 20 minutes out, and I'll go sit in the van or whatever and kind of decompress. Yeah. So I can be fresh kind of going in.
Yeah. Cool, man. Is there any sign of a UK or European tour coming?
Man, I would absolutely love to. I actually had a promoter talk to me about it right before the pandemic stuff. So I don't know, it would be something I would love to revisit, but yeah, nothing on the books now, but hopefully.
Yeah. Cool, man. Well, I'll let you crack on with the rest of your day, and thank you so much for chatting to us.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on. It was great chatting with you, Mike, and I look forward to hopefully seeing you whenever I get to the other side of the pond.
Oh, most definitely, man. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Talk to you soon.
And that was episode 47 of Into the Van with Mike West and David Quinn. Into the van, into the bag, as we always say. I really hope you enjoyed this episode. I really enjoyed chatting to David. With these podcasts, I love talking to people, but sometimes you have to kind of, get yourself in the mood to do it. You have to motivate yourself, psych yourself up to begin a conversation because you don't know which way it's going to go. But David was an absolute fucking delight. His album Country Fresh is out now. It's phenomenal. Thank you so much to Rachel from Sweetheart PR for sending him over. I hope you guys are having a good week. I hope you keep listening to the things you love. I hope you keep watching the things you love. I hope you keep supporting the things you love because that's the main thing. And, if you've enjoyed Into the Van, please leave a review. Please share it with your friends. Tell one person. And until next time, folks, stay safe. See you later.